So what if I told you that trying to ensure a business never ever runs out of a product is actually like the absolute fastest way to bankrupt that company?
Which sounds completely counterintuitive.
All right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would think perfection is the ultimate goal of any business. But if you're joining us for this deep dive today, you're probably already uncovering, the hidden mechanics of how the global economy actually functions.
Right, the stuff happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. And maybe you're a dedicated learner currently deep in the trenches, prepping for your CPM exam, mastering Module 6, Section C on inventory management.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It really is. Or maybe you're just intensely curious about the invisible engine driving, well, everything we buy. Either way, welcome. We're stripping away the jargon today to understand the incredibly high-stakes decisions organizations make every single day.
And, to really grasp the scale of what we're diving into, you kind of have to picture yourself standing on the floor of a modern high-tech distribution center.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Good. So it spans the size of like 10 football fields. You have millions of dollars of goods just zooming along miles of conveyor belts overhead. Yeah, and robotic arms picking boxes with absolute precision, and forklifts doing this incredibly complex, choreographed dance. It honestly looks like a magic trick.
Right, it looks like chaos, but it's totally controlled.
Exactly. But that ballet is entirely dictated by mathematical models. Today, we're going on a journey of, I like to call it, escalating risk.
Escalating risk, I like that.
Yeah. We're going to start in a place of pristine mathematical perfection, figuring out exactly when and how much to order, and then we're going to watch what happens when those pristine models collide with the messy, chaotic, and sometimes dangerous reality of actual supply chains.
I love that framing because, before a company can even worry about optimizing its financial models, it has to build basic habits.
Right, the foundational stuff.
Exactly. It needs a trigger, like the exact moment a system throws up its hands and says, hey, we're running low, it's time to restock. And that brings us to the first big hurdle, which is replenishment strategies.
Precisely. You have to establish the when before you can calculate the how much.
Makes sense.
And in inventory management, there are basically two dominant philosophies for figuring out that timing. You have continuous review and periodic review.
Okay, let's break those down.
Sure. Let's look at continuous review first. Just like the name implies, the inventory level is constantly being monitored.
Like 2047.
Yeah, exactly. And the moment it drops to a specific predetermined number, what we call the order point, a replenishment order is instantly triggered.
Let me see if I can translate this to everyday life for a second. Continuous review feels exactly like looking at your car's gas gauge, right?
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
Right. Like you have a strict personal policy. The moment the needle hits a quarter tank, you pull over and fill it up. You're constantly monitoring the level, and that quarter tank mark is your order point.
That is a perfect visualization. You aren't waiting for a specific day of the week to get gas. You let the actual consumption drive the action.
Exactly.
In inventory management, the most common continuous review model is the fixed order quantity system. It's often written as a lowercase s and an uppercase q.
Right. I've seen that in the source material.
Yeah, so the lowercase s is the order point your quarter tank.
Yeah.
The uppercase q is the fixed quantity you buy every single time.
But how does a massive distribution center actually pick that lowercase s order point? You can't just guess.
No, absolutely not.
If I'm ordering thousands of components for a manufacturing plant, I need a rock-solid reason for picking a specific number.
You do. And you calculate it based on your lead time. You basically have to cover the demand you expect to happen while you're simply waiting for the new stuff to arrive.
Okay, so the transit time.
Exactly. So say you sell 80 units a week, and it takes 2 full weeks for a supplier's truck to back up to your loading dock. You're going to sell 160 units during that waiting period.
Okay, so 160 is my order point.
Well, not quite. That would leave you with absolutely zero room for error.
Ah, right.
Yeah, you also have to add your safety stock, your emergency buffer. So if you decide you want a safety buffer of 50 units, you just add that to the 160.
Gotcha. So my order point becomes 210 units.
Exactly. The exact millisecond your warehouse management system sees only 210 units left on the shelf, it fires off a purchase order for your fixed queue quantity.
That makes total sense. You cover the waiting period plus a little extra for emergencies.
Yeah.
But there's another continuous model that completely flips the script on the quantity part, right?
Oh, you mean the min-max system?
Yes, the min-max system, because this one threw me for a loop initially since the order size isn't fixed at all.
Yeah, the min-max system, or the capital S system, it still uses that lowercase s as the minimum trigger, the exact same way we just talked about. The difference is the capital S, which represents your absolute maximum inventory target.
Yeah.
Instead of ordering a fixed batch of, like, 500 units every time, you order whatever variable amount is required to top you back off to the absolute maximum.
So if my maximum shelf capacity is 100 units and my minimum trigger is 30,
Right.
the moment I hit 30, the system calculates the gap. 100 minus 30 is 70. So it orders 70 units.
You got it.
But like if some employee accidentally dropped 5 units and we had to scrap them and we hit 25 units, the next order would automatically adjust to 75 to get us back to the ceiling.
Exactly. It's incredibly dynamic. But, both of these systems, the fixed quantity and the min-max, require constant real-time monitoring.
Which takes a lot of tech.
Usually, yeah. Now, contrast that with the other major philosophy, which is periodic review. In a periodic system, time is the ultimate dictator, not the inventory level.
Okay.
You don't look at the shelves every minute. You look at them on a strict schedule, like every Friday afternoon or the first of every month.
Okay, sticking with the personal analogies here. If continuous review is the gas gauge, periodic review is Sunday grocery shopping.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Every Sunday morning you open the fridge. It doesn't matter if you have 2 eggs left or 10 eggs left. You just look at what's missing and you buy enough groceries to get you through until next Sunday.
Which highlights a major administrative advantage, actually. Periodic review is highly efficient for the humans managing it.
Because it's predictable.
Yeah. You consolidate all your purchasing, you group orders together for shipping discounts, and you only spend mental energy on it once a week or once a month.
But wait, if I'm only looking in the fridge on Sunday, what happens if I host a massive unexpected breakfast on Monday morning and use all my eggs?
Well, then you're out of eggs.
Right. I'm completely out of stock by Monday afternoon, and I'm not planning to go to the store again for 6 days. That seems incredibly risky for a business.
It is. It is the defining vulnerability of the periodic review system. You've basically created a blind spot, a dark period between reviews.
Yeah, a huge one.
Because of that, the mathematical formula for your target inventory level has to be much more aggressive. You don't just have to cover the demand during the supplier's lead time.
What else do you cover?
You also have to cover the demand for the entire review period.
Because the system is basically asleep until the next review date.
Exactly. If you review every 7 days and your lead time is 2 days, you have to hold enough stock to cover 9 full days of demand.
Wow, that's a lot more inventory.
Plus an even larger safety stock to survive any massive spikes that happen while you aren't looking. Continuous review is significantly more agile, allowing you to carry less inventory overall.
But, continuous review doesn't always require a multi-million-dollar software system, does it? Because the 2-bin system is fascinating.
Oh, I love the 2-bin system. It's one of the most brilliant, low-tech, continuous review systems ever invented.
Especially for cheap stuff, right?
Yeah, high-volume items like nuts, bolts, or medical syringes. You literally have 2 physical bins of the product.
You just pull from bin 1 until it's completely empty. And the visual of that empty plastic bin is your physical trigger.
Yes, exactly.
You send that empty bin to purchasing to get refilled. And in the meantime, you just start pulling from bin 2. It's totally foolproof. You don't need barcodes or scanners.
Nope, none of that. Kanban cards work the same way on a factory floor, actually. Just visual signals. So we've established our habits. We know exactly when the system is going to pull the trigger to order.
Which brings us to the second phase of our journey, the pursuit of financial perfection. Once that trigger is pulled, how do we mathematically prove exactly how many items to buy?
The million-dollar question.
Because this feels like a massive corporate tug of war.
Oh, it is arguably the oldest conflict in supply chain management. On one side, you have the purchasing and operations teams. They want to order in massive quantities.
Why? Just to be safe.
Well, partially. But mostly because every time you place an order, you incur administrative costs. You have to pay someone to write the purchase order, process the invoice, unload the truck, set up the manufacturing machines.
Oh, right. All the paperwork and labor.
Exactly. If you order in tiny batches all the time, those ordering costs absolutely destroy your profit margins.
So purchasing says, hey, let's just order 2-year supply of everything. We'll only do the paperwork once.
Exactly. But then the finance department kicks down the door in a panic.
I can picture that.
Because holding on to a 2-year supply introduces massive carrying costs.
Uh-huh.
You have to rent a warehouse to store it all. You have to insure it.
And it could go bad.
Yes, you risk the materials expiring or becoming obsolete, but most importantly, you've tied up millions of dollars of company capital in boxes sitting on a shelf.
Money that could have been invested in research or marketing.
Exactly.
It's a seesaw. Order too little, and the administrative ordering costs weigh you down. Order too much, and the carrying costs crush you. So, how do you level the seesaw?
You calculate the economic order quantity, or EOQ.
EOQ. Okay.
It is the precise mathematical point on a graph where your annual ordering costs and your annual carrying costs perfectly intersect.
The sweet spot.
Yes, it is the lowest possible total cost to manage that item for the year.
Okay, I want to make sure we ground this without forcing anyone to do heavy algebra in their heads while they listen.
Fair enough.
The EOQ formula balances those forces. You take your total annual demand and multiply it by your ordering costs, the pain of doing the paperwork.
Right.
Then you weigh that against the unit cost of the item and the percentage rate it costs to store it, the pain of hoarding.
Let's use some clean numbers for this. Imagine a company knows they'll need exactly 8,000 units of a component this year.
Okay, 8,000.
And every time they ask the supplier for delivery, it costs them $20 in administrative and setup fees.
Got it.
The item itself costs $10, and their finance team calculates that holding inventory costs them 20% of the item's value in warehousing and risk.
Okay, so when you run those opposing forces through the EOQ formula,
It finds the absolute bottom of the cost curve.
and the math spits out exactly 400 units, boom, 400 is the magic number. It is mathematically the cheapest way to replenish that inventory over the course of the entire year.
It is a beautiful, elegant model.
I have a major issue with it.
Oh.
Yeah, it feels like buying toilet paper at a massive warehouse club. I mean, yes, buying a 96-pack is incredibly cheap per roll.
Sure.
Your ordering cost is basically zero because you only drive to the store once. But the carrying cost is that it takes up half your apartment closet for the next 8 months.
Space is capital.
Exactly. And more importantly, what happens to this pristine math if a company actually gets smart and embraces lean manufacturing?
That is the exact right question to ask. What happens if you change the rules of the game?
Right.
Lean manufacturing is entirely focused on eliminating waste, specifically the waste of setup times and administrative friction.
So if a company streamlines its processes so much that, like, placing an order or setting up a machine is practically effortless, meaning that $20 ordering cost drops to near zero.
Yeah.
What happens to the seesaw?
The entire EOQ curve shifts dramatically downward and to the left. The mathematical penalty for ordering frequently disappears.
Oh, wow.
The economic order quantity becomes much, much smaller. Lean practices allow you to order in tiny batches, keeping your capital totally free without being penalized by administrative costs.
That is fascinating. So the formula doesn't break, the inputs just evolve.
Exactly.
But there are times when the real world simply refuses to let you use your perfect 400-unit EOQ, right?
Absolutely. The model exists in a vacuum, but you purchase in the real world.
Right.
Your math might say 400 is optimal, but the supplier might say, well, we only run production in batches of 500. Take it or leave it.
Lot size constraint.
Right. Or they might offer a massive volume discount if you buy 1,000. You have to intentionally abandon your perfect EOQ because the price break outweighs the extra carrying costs.
Or for incredibly expensive custom items, you abandon bulk ordering entirely and use lot for lot.
Yes, L4L.
You order exactly the 5 units you need for this week's production and zero extra. No safety stock, no EOQ, just pure lean efficiency.
Which brings us to the third phase of our journey. We have our habits, and we have our pursuit of financial perfection. But what happens when perfection meets reality?
Reality is messy.
Very. The EOQ assumes demand is a smooth, predictable line. The real world has blizzards that shut down interstates. It has port strikes.
Or a random influencer posting a video that causes your product demand to triple overnight.
Pure chaos.
And how do you survive chaos? You build a buffer. You build safety stock.
But, this isn't just about throwing random extra boxes in the back room to feel safe.
Yeah.
This is heavily tied to what's called a customer service level.
Which honestly sounds like a metric for a call center.
It really does, yeah. But in supply chain, it means something very specific. A 95% service level simply means management has decided they are perfectly comfortable running completely out of stock 5% of the time.
That's a crucial point. It is a deliberate acceptance of failure to save money.
Exactly.
But figuring out exactly how many units you need on the shelf to guarantee that 95% success rate requires diving into statistics. Planners use metrics to measure unpredictability, right?
They do. They measure how wildly their customers deviate from the forecast.
They're essentially measuring the wobble in the demand.
Yes, exactly. They use tools like mean absolute deviation, or MAD, and standard deviation.
Okay, statistics time.
It's just a little bit. So if your customers buy exactly 100 units every single week, your standard deviation is 0. There is no wobble. You need almost no safety stock.
Makes sense.
But if they buy 10 units one week and 190 the next, your average is still 100, but the wobble is massive.
So you need a massive buffer. And the math behind this is wild. If you know your standard deviation, the mathematical measurement of that wobble, you can build a bulletproof shield.
Pretty much.
The data shows that if you hold enough safety stock to cover 3 standard deviations, you cover 99.87% of all probability.
Meaning there's only a 0.13% chance that you will ever face a stockout.
That feels like a superpower. But here is where I get confused.
Okay, lay it on me.
Let's say I've built my safety stock shield, but then my supplier moves their factory. Suddenly, my lead time jumps from 6 weeks to 7 weeks.
Okay, an extra week.
Right. It takes a whole extra week for my stuff to arrive. My instinct is that I need to massively increase my safety stock to cover that extra week of being exposed to the wilderness.
It is completely logical to think that, but risk doesn't scale linearly.
Really?
Yeah, the math gives us a shortcut, the square root formula. You take your old safety stock and multiply it by the square root of the new lead time divided by the old lead time.
So if my old safety stock was 45 units, and my lead time goes from 6 to 7 weeks.
Right.
I divide 7 by 6, take the square root, and multiply it by 45. The answer is roughly 49 units. Wait, a whole extra week of waiting, and I only need to add 4 measly units to my safety stock.
Yep.
How is that mathematically protective?
Because of compound probability. Just because your delivery takes a week longer doesn't mean your customers are going to simultaneously experience a massive, unpredictable spike in demand during that exact same week.
Ah, I see.
The longer the time period, the more the high days and low days tend to cancel each other out and revert to the average. The risk grows, but it grows at the rate of a square root, not a straight line.
That is mind-bending, but incredibly reassuring.
Isn't it?
And if I don't want to add those 4 units of physical stock at all, I can just use safety lead time. Instead of padding my quantity, I pad my schedule.
Exactly.
I just order the original amount, but I trigger the order a few days earlier.
Which is brilliant for items that have highly erratic demand, where holding extra physical stock just feels like a gamble that ties up your capital.
But looking at the whole concept of service levels, there's this graph that just haunts me in the source material.
I know the one.
The curve shows how much inventory you need to hit different service levels. Going from a 90% success rate to a 95% success rate just takes a little bump in safety stock. It's totally manageable.
Right.
But if you try to push from 99% to 100%, the curve goes completely vertical.
It becomes asymptotic. To mathematically guarantee a 100% service level, to promise that you will never, ever stock out regardless of blizzards or global pandemics, requires holding effectively infinite inventory.
Which answers my question from the very beginning. Aiming for absolute perfection is financial suicide.
100%.
You would spend all of your company's money storing products just to cover a 1 in a million catastrophe. You have to accept the 1% failure rate to stay in business.
You really have to embrace the risk.
Yeah.
But, so far our entire journey from replenishment habits to EOQ financial perfection to statistical safety buffers has assumed one thing.
What's that?
We've been treating inventory like it's just harmless, interchangeable, immortal boxes of widgets sitting quietly on a shelf.
Which brings us to our final phase. What happens to all our pristine math when the inventory itself is volatile, when the inventory fights back?
We enter the realm of special handling and dangerous goods. This is where mathematical models must immediately bow to the laws of physics and environmental safety.
Standard inventory policy cannot apply everywhere.
No, absolutely not.
Think about the pure absurdity of blindly applying an EOQ model here. Let's say your algorithm analyzes a hospital's usage of a specific rare vaccine.
Okay.
The ordering costs and carrying costs dictate that the absolute cheapest way to manage it is to order a 6-month supply at once, like an EOQ of 10,000 vials.
But if that specific vaccine degrades and becomes useless after 30 days, your 6-month supply is actually a catastrophe.
Right.
For perishable goods, shelf life violently override financial optimization.
Or what about literal volatility, hazardous materials? The global supply chain categorizes these into 9 classes of dangerous goods, right?
Yes. Class 1 is explosives. Class 2 is compressed gases.
We've got Class 3 flammable liquids, oxidizers, all the way up to Class 7 radioactive material.
Managing these materials completely shatters normal operations. You can't just throw Class 1 explosives in the same warehouse rack as standard widgets just because you found a volume discount.
I would hope not.
The carrying cost fundamentally changes. You need blast walls. You need specialized ventilation. The transportation regulations dictate completely different lead times and routing.
So the physical nature of the good rewrites the mathematical rules of how it must be managed.
Precisely. And it isn't always about explosions. Sometimes the unique handling comes down to the survival of the business itself.
Like what?
Maintenance, repair, and operating supplies, MRO. These aren't the products you sell to customers. They're the unglamorous parts and tools you need to keep your own factory running.
Oh, like lubricants, drill bits, replacement conveyor belts?
Yes. In heavily mechanized or remanufacturing industries, MRO is treated as an elite, specialized inventory category.
Really? Why is that?
Because if you stock out of a standard retail product, you lose a sale. But if you stock out of a $5 replacement bearing for your main assembly line, the entire factory grinds to a halt.
Oh, wow. Thousands of workers just standing idle.
Exactly. The cost of a stockout is so astronomically high that normal safety stock rules are just thrown out, and companies hold massive, highly conservative buffers of critical MRO parts.
It is a massive, deeply interconnected ecosystem. To bring this all together, we started with the basic habits, the when of continuous and periodic replenishment triggers.
Right.
We moved to financial optimization, balancing the seesaw to find the how much with our economic order quantity. We watched reality break the model, forcing us to build statistical safety stock buffers.
Yeah.
And finally, we saw how the physical, volatile reality of dangerous and special goods forces the math to adapt to the real world.
Every single concept is a lever. Pulling one like using lean practices to lower ordering cost cascades through the entire system, altering your lot sizes, shifting your safety stock, and completely reshaping the financial health of the organization.
It makes that chaotic distribution center look a lot less like magic and a lot more like a beautifully complex symphony of data.
It really does. But as we look at the incredible pace of innovation in those distribution centers, it leaves us with a fascinating thread to pull on.
Oh, what's that?
As artificial intelligence gets ruthlessly efficient at predicting human behavior, and as autonomous drone networks make delivery lead times precise down to the minute,
Yeah.
will the mathematical need for a safety stock buffer eventually approach zero? Or will the fundamental chaotic unpredictability of nature and human beings mean we will always need a safety net?
Wow. That is a heavy thought to chew on, something to mull over the next time you see a completely empty shelf at the grocery store and wonder what mathematical lever just broke.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.